Today's short video for RPG Day 2020 has the prompt for us of humor. Now this prompt, knowing it was in the list all along, because as you know, I'm involved in the creation of the list each year, knowing that the prompt of humor was there was likely the reason why I ultimately went with turning all of my responses into a step-by-step walkthrough of a Ghostbusters session, using each prompt as a particular element of play to inspire a scene or an interaction and be able to tease out the way that I see being aware of play and therefore developing greater comfort and ease and ability with play, either as a game master who runs the game, or as a player who runs a character, or somewhere in between, depending on the type of game that you're playing. So humor. Humor is interesting because in some games, some settings, some environments, it's disruptive. And in other games, it's the whole reason why you sat down to play. Either because the game itself is trying to support the players being funny by interacting with each other in character in a funny way, or your group really uses the game as an excuse for socializing, that there isn't really a drive to accomplish a certain amount in the time you have together, or move through a prepared story or a purchased module, something like that. It's really just that you get together and you roll some dice, and the tangents are the reason why you're there. We've got this broad spectrum of ways that humor can be involved in play. Well, if we don't want humor to be disruptive to whatever it is that we're doing, and instead we want to harness it for what we're doing, this can be something of a challenge. It's kind of hard to be funny because you're supposed to be funny, And just because you've taken Ghostbusters down off the shelf doesn't necessarily mean that play will be all that funny automatically, or just because you've taken Toon or Paranoia or something along those lines. How do we get to the good part? One thing that I've discovered is that, let's say, imitation is a sincere form of flattery. And if we are imitating something which is funny, generally that means we're going to be importing a lot of humorous quotes that we already know the other people enjoy. And it's really kind of funny when you get the timing just right and you drop a quote from the source material into your play and it fits perfectly. It's the perfect time to deliver that line. So a game like Ghostbusters is ideally suited for that. In a sense, this is preparation for improvisation. You've been quoting those lines since you saw the movie. Sharing those lines with your friends is an inherent part of your ongoing enjoyment of that film. And you still laugh, even though you have said these lines to each other over and over again, who knows how many times through the years. But what's interesting is that at a certain point, after play has continued for a while, it's not so much that you stop quoting the films, it's that you start being able to reference your own play. So the quotes were an intrinsic part of the enjoyment of your early play. Maybe someone at the table is playing a character loosely inspired by Venkman or Spangler or Stantz or Zedmore or, Tully or whoever, right? But through play, that character and the things that they've said and things that they've done expands and grows and takes on more things and more situations, more things which did not occur in the films, rather than things which reflect what happened in the films. And so the character in growing comes to encapsulate more than its inspiration. And so, because of the concept of momentum, because of the concept of contagion, because of the concept of reflection, we find that our humor in motion tends to stay in motion. Not everyone feels like they can be particularly funny. And if you look at the cast of Ghostbusters, a character like Egon doesn't strike us as being the one to deliver very humorous lines. We expect, right, the first time we see it, that possibly all the witty banter is going to be between Venkman and Stantz. But that's not the truth of it, is it? And I'm going to bring a dog in. This is our dog, Billy, and she's quite old. She adopted us. We adopted the others, but she adopted us. She found us wandering around in the street one day and decided that she needed to move in and take care of us. Now, if you look at her face, of course, she looks extremely grumpy, like she's not all that interested in what goes on. But I laugh at her antics more often in one day than pretty much everybody else, including, the Doberman who was very recently a puppy and doesn't seem to realize that she's not one anymore. Billy here is hilarious. It just depends on the timing. It depends on the moment. It depends on how we connect with each other at the table. Now, you don't see Billy in my videos very often, but you almost always hear her. She contributes an awful lot of snoring through the videos over the years. So if you've ever wondered who it was that was snoring, and after a while, it starts to be a little funny. So anyway, today's prompt of humor. I'm hoping that the Ghostbusters skin that we're laying over RPG A Day 2020 for the Casting Shadows blog has offered its moments of humor from time to time, either in written format or here, although the videos haven't been intended to be funny. But humor, even in the most serious of games like Call of Cthulhu or Battletech or Aberrant, even in the most serious of games, can definitely play an impactful role. It's not something to worry about. It's something to discover. Anyway, until tomorrow, in our ever-diminishing number of days and prompts before the end of RPG A Day 2020. Take care.